translated. Okay, just let me say yes. That she also translated into an intervention tool in family therapy, the EMOTH tool. She is currently an assistant professor at the University of Szeged in Hungary, Institute of Psychology, teaching qualitative and health psychology, systemic interventions, professional self-reflection, and ethics in psychology. She's a board member of the Hungarian Family Therapy Association and also a board member of the European Family Therapy Association. She offers training in experience mapping for systemic therapists throughout Europe. She has published national and international scientific publications in health psychology and was a Fulbright visiting researcher at the University of Maryland in 2022. So this is a short information about Viola. She has much more than this, of course, and she will present us her work. Thank you, Viola.
Thank you, Joanna, and thank you, Matthias, for this introduction. And I'm really happy and honored to be here with you all. Thanks for coming into this second EFTA Research Cafe. We really would like this event to be a dialogue, a discussion, and an interactive meeting, and we are really open to your ideas and thoughts. So please don't hesitate, use the chat or raise your hand during my presentation, and Lucy Hornova will be in charge of the questions in the chat, appearing in the chat, or if you raise your hands, maybe during my presentation, I will not notice it, but she will do it for us. So you can interrupt the presentation as well. I can stop and we can discuss your questions during and after the presentation.
I'll do that right away. As we are recording this, I would like to just ask everyone who doesn't want to be recorded to turn off their camera and to use chat to ask questions. Otherwise, we kind of take it as an agreement that this presentation is being recorded. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen, and I will ask you if you see the slide, and if yes, okay.
Yes, Viola.
Okay, thank you. Then if you can see the next slide. So this is always a scary point in every presentation, if you can see the next slide. So I will speak about our research with experience mapping method, but I'm not doing it alone. There is a team. There is Tamás Martos, who is present here in this meeting, and he will also make his remarks and contributions to everything I will say about experience mapping. And there is also an important team of my doctoral students, and this is what we call our qualitative research lab at the University of Szeged. So as Matthias already mentioned, this question about systemic research and what systemic research can be, or how we would define systemic research, is something broad and diverse, and with multiple possible approaches and answers to this question. So let me speak about our version of systemic research tonight, the way we are approaching it, and the way we are doing it in our qualitative research lab. So on the top of the system that you see on the slide, there are systemic interventions. If we think about systemic interventions in our vision, specific systemic interventions will be developed based on a systemic understanding of the specific families or communities in need. And our systemic understanding will stem from systemic research. So the first step would be to create a systemic research question that involves, let's say, more than one person. A research question that focuses on relationship processes instead of personal characteristics, and a research question that involves the context instead of a selection of variables. This approach requires systemic research tools and systemic analytic tools that can grasp all those processes in their context. So as we are interested in how family members' well-being is created in everyday life, our research question would read like, how do relationship regulation processes unfold in family members' life space? And for this sake, we developed experience mapping as a systemic tool that will help us to explore family members' well-being in the system of their relationships. So what's experience mapping? Experience mapping in research is an interview method, a qualitative interview method, to elicit personal stories of environmentally embedded and embodied place-related and relational experiences in the person's lived space or personal niche. And experience mapping is also systemic in that sense that it is a research method for systemic qualitative studies, but also an exploratory and intervention tool for systemic counseling, systemic therapy, coaching, or health promotion. When we use experience mapping in therapy, it is a systemic tool to explore embodied and relational experiences, and it creates an atmosphere of creativity and collaboration in the therapy room. This is also a method to visualize family scenarios, family routines, family rituals, and relational patterns of emotions and behaviors. This method fosters and visualizes change during the therapeutic process. So we can also use it to follow how those routines and everyday behavioral patterns are changing during the therapy process. Some words about the theoretical framework behind experience mapping, either used in research or therapy. So the broadest framework would be system theory, the evolution and functioning of complex living human systems. And there are three important focus points within this big system. One being environmental psychology and environmental approach of relationship regulation and self-regulation. The other is the phenomenology of embodied everyday experiences. And the third one is the way graphic elicitation methods work in research. A few words about the phenomenology. So when we speak about lived space or life space, it's an approach that links the external world of individuals to internal spaces as a whole connected system. The lived space, of course, is a structured process that is structured in time and space, and also connected to social relationships and connected to the meanings that people assign all those to all those experiences. We know very well that all people's lived experiences are very specific in their specific context and situation, but there are still some universal features like temporality, spatiality, subjective embodiment, and all those specific characteristics of all lived experiences. When we think about individuals and their place in the physical environment, we think of the individual and their relationships in the physical environment as part of a huge interconnected system. And from this point of view, our everyday environment becomes a so-called socio-physical place. It means that interpersonal relationships and the physical space are interconnected around us. And the way we are using our interpersonal relationships in our everyday self-regulation is also connected to the physical space in which our personal relationships unfold. So relationship regulation involves constructing experiences also in the space, in the physical environment, and it's also connected to all meanings that we assign to specific aspects of the physical environment. And the third perspective here is about the graphic visual part of the method. So graphic elicitation methods in qualitative research foster communication and facilitate the research. It's the same with the client-therapist relationship when we are using experience mapping in therapy. And also visual methods help participants to represent data, represent their lived experiences, represent their relationship processes in a way that is unusual. So in a way that somehow diverts them to all those schematic answers and patterns. So let me share 3 snapshots from our research projects. 3 snapshots from 3 types of systems and 3 different types of contexts. And I hope this will provide you with a 3-dimensional picture of how experience mapping works in research. The 3 different contexts will be the family home, the life space of couples, like involving all those important environmental features that are out of the home, that are in the neighborhood or in the nature. And the third one is the healthcare setting, which is also a relationship system at workplace. So these are the 3 research projects, the 3 studies I will speak about. The first being about relationship regulation in the family home, where parents raising children with atypical development are struggling for balance. Just a few words about the background of this study. So, of course, we all know that a typical development of a child can affect the parents' relationships and social relations, and also individual self-regulation processes, economic status, and the overall health. In Hungary, we have some very well-developed programs for young babies and young children, so the early developmental stage, but not so much for the parents themselves. So systemic parental intervention programs are lacking in Hungary. Here, our systemic research question was the following: how do parents with typically developing children build their own parenting and relationship well-being in the family home? The methodology here is constructivist grounded theory. So this is more like social constructivist grounded theory, being a systemic analytic tool. We had sensitizing concepts in mind, like systemic approach, person-environmental, transactional processes. And we did a purposeful sampling on the basis of our previous quantitative study. We recruited couples who were raising at least one typically developing child. And this is how experience mapping worked in this kind of research interview. So we asked parents in individual one-on-one interviews to draw the map of their family home, like this one here, and with all the pieces of furniture, of course, doors, windows, etc. So some important details of the physical environment. And then we asked them questions about their everyday emotional experiences, like where is the place of security for you in your home? Where is the place of insecurity for you? Well-being, tension, etc. So you can see the set of emotional experiences we explored in this interview. When we have all the experiences on the map, we always ask about the stories behind those experiences. So this is where the interview comes, an in-depth interview. So we are exploring not only stories, but also the meaning they assign to those stories and the relational processes linked to those stories. When we analyzed this set of interviews, we found two main themes. The first one being the losing balance theme, so losing balance in relationships and the family home. This is the theme itself is a systemic finding. Like losing balance can appear in several types of relationship processes. It can be present in individual self-regulation processes, like thinking about the future of the child. It can be there in the relationship with the healthy sibling. It can be there when they are creating boundaries within the home. And it can also be there when they are confronted with all transgenerational routines and habits. The other main theme is more about finding balance. Finding balance like protection and counterbalance, so relationship processes that help them thrive, or creating harmony within the couple, so it's specific joint actions in the family home that create harmony for the couple, or also some kind of developmental activities in the home, and also the development of the home environment itself. So let me show an example. a couple, mother and father. They have 2 children. One of them is the atypically developing child with a very rare illness, and the other one is the healthy sibling. So here you can notice this is the same flat actually, but the perspective is a little bit different. So if you can turn mentally the image, it will be the same physical environment. For the mother, the place of tension was in the kitchen. As for the father, the place of tension was situated at the computer desk, where the healthy sibling used to do some work and also play computer games. So let's see the stories behind those experiences. When we asked the mother about that place of tension in the kitchen, this is what she told us. For me, brainstorming can be connected to dishwashing and the surrounding area, where the guys, the family members, are not there. Usually, that is where I can cry. There you are alone. There, if the situation is such that I can't see a way out of it, especially with their child born with lissencephaly, oh, they leave me alone. They leave me alone, the family members, they leave me alone in peace, because they know I will sort it out anyway, and then there is happiness. And so they know that I have to sort it out because we are not getting anywhere. At those times, you have to figure out what to do. You have to try, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you go back to doing the dishes, because then you have to find another solution. And when speaking about the kitchen, you can see how relationship regulation processes go around that place where the guys, like the father and the 2 children, withdraw, and the mother can be alone. And for her, it is easier to be alone with all those fears and insecurity of the future of the child. She also added that the bathroom is not that best place to be alone, because whenever she goes there to have a bath, all family members will appear around her. So she has to do the dishes to be alone, because no one wants to do the dishes with her. And then let's see what the father is telling us about his place of tension in the living room, the computer desk. He says, it is where my big son, the healthy sibling, sits all the time, like this, and playing on the computer. And his mother stands there and shouts at him to study, not to sit in front of the computer and play games. Because even when he's done with his homework, the mother, is still annoyed that he's playing. And the mother is either cleaning or doing the dishes or something else. I don't like that. I like to be at peace with everybody. That's my life's work. And that's the place of tension, because they usually fight with each other every day, and I am the bumper from both directions. So I try to balance it out somehow to get a good result for everybody. So I don't want the child to feel bad in the long run. And I also try to make his mother a little bit more patient. I know it's hard for her. I know she has the little one, the child with lissencephaly. She has a lot of problems. I know she has to do all the housework. I know it's a huge burden for her, but obviously it can't be at the expense of the other child. So here you can see how the father tries to create a boundary around him and the healthy child, while the mother is trying to cross that boundary and to somehow intervene with the healthy child because he has to study. So this is the differences between the mother and the father and the way they are coping with the situation are present here. And the kitchen is mentioned in the father's interview as well. So the mother doing the dishes in the kitchen, and you can see how the mother's withdrawing to the kitchen will bring peace and create some kind of boundaries from both sides. So just a short conclusion here, experiment-based interviews with parents of atypically developing children could capture the emergent systemic patterns of place-bound relational experiences. And our aim is to develop a specific a systemic intervention for these parents, a systemic intervention that takes into account the specific ways families can lose and regain their balance in the home environment, and also how to create new home rituals that can combine proximity and distance. Okay, so here's the second snapshot. Well, the context is the couples where one of them is living with a specific chronic illness, which is inflammatory bowel disease. And we will see how they coordinate the relationship processes around the symptoms, around the body, and around places in their home. So here our research question is about the well-being of IBD patients and their partners. What relational experiences help patients and their partners, individual and relational well-being, and what experiences hinder their well-being? The method is the same, basically, as in the previous research example. The experience mapping method is slightly different because here it's not only the experience map of the home, but also the surroundings, the experience map of the life space, meaning that all important physical environment they are using on a daily or weekly basis and that are important to them in terms of their health and relationship. So here you can see all the emotional experiences that were represented on the maps. They are more or less the same because those are the basic self-regulational and relationship regulational experiences that are represented here, but we added, so we tailored this set of experiences to the specific aims of this research project, and you can see the ups and downs of the illness or healing and relief that are experiences specific to this context and this sample. This is a summary of the findings. All finding the three main themes are about coordination processes, the way they are coordinating their everyday life around the symptomatic body of the ill partner, and also the bodily and spatial routines of both partners, and the coordination of their relations to the outer world. Let me show you only one example of the interviews and one story of a female IBD patient who is speaking about a moment of togetherness that she could experience in like sitting in the toilet, which is an important place for IBD patients. This is how she does about it. It's disgusting to some people, it's embarrassing to some people, but it meant a lot to me because I felt accepted as I am. And that it was there at the moment when I was at my weakest and I needed a little strength. That was one of the moments. And the other very funny moment was the toilet moment, because I think for a lot of people with IBD, the toilet is tied to something. We were watching a football game. He, the partner, doesn't like football, but I really wanted to watch one of the Hungarian national team games and not miss anything. He opened the door, grabbed a small hand mirror, stood in the doorway, and fiddled with the mirror until I could step into the mirror and watch the TV. Right, so that's how I think it builds our relationship rather than destroys it. So here you can see how a small relationship routine can help the partner with the IBD disease to get some moments of relaxation and the kind of togetherness which is created around the symptoms. Someone is in the waiting room. Okay. So let me share a third and last example from our study on the workplace experiences of Hungarian medical doctors. This study is about the main theme of the study is remaining human in the healthcare system. Here our systemic research question is the following: how do medical doctors create their well-being and its optimal conditions in the social physical environment of the workplace? What processes help or hinder this? So here we are thinking about the workplace, like the hospital, the clinic, or a GP's office, being a social physical environment, an emotionally important social physical environment, just like one's home. So the relationship processes and person environment processes that unfold in that system are crucial in terms of medical doctors' health. So the method is the same. And here the experience mapping procedure focuses on the experience map of the workplace. Here you can see an example of a medical setting. And this is a hospital setting with the critical care, also at the time the COVID zone. And you can see the set of emotional experiences that we applied in this study. And here you can see, of course, security, insecurity, like the basic self-regulation and relationship regulation processes. But you can also see the success and development, like something being important in terms of professionals' health, mental health. And also togetherness is here because what we know from previous studies that workplace relationships can be also important in terms of doctors' mental health. And this is a summary of the findings, where the central main theme is about creating a space, a social physical space for remaining human. So it's all the processes that are linked to medical doctors' ways of creating relationships and features in the physical environment that would help them thrive, that would help them remain healthy in their everyday work. And there are three other main themes related to this central one: creating a space for stability, also territorial struggles, and defying boundaries. So those themes imply that all the relationship processes and interpersonal relationship processes and person-environmental processes can be very harsh and intense in a workplace setting. This is a more detailed version of our themes. You can see how this remaining human theme is linked to individual processes and social processes, like in a group, and how stability is also linked to their bodies, so a somatic feedback, and also flow experience, and also vertical and horizontal connections. And the boundaries, it can be about stepping in or stepping out of specific environments or territories in the workplace. Also, somehow physical protection is there, and territorial struggles can be more like a battlefield in some cases. So let me show you an example of a GP, a general practitioner, who is a woman, and you can see her experience map of the workplace. So no, sorry, it's not the GP. First, it's a hospital setting, sorry. So this is the internist. The internist, and you can see the kitchen, where in this hospital ward, the kitchen will become the place of togetherness for this medical doctor, and the office of the director will become the place of tension. So let me show you how this internist was speaking about this place of togetherness, which was in the kitchen. Well, there you let yourself go for 20 minutes and chat a bit. There you are a human being. That's it. In the past, we used to eat more at the same time, but now it's been reduced because the COVID has spread there. So now there are less of us, but whatever. So it's nice to relax a little bit with each other. And in that room, you don't feel at home, but nevertheless, 3-4 people sit down there, then everyone becomes a normal person. The receptionist, the nurse, the physician, X-ray assistant, they become human. The point is that it's unbelievable what useless chatter is going on, but you enjoy it because you are happy to have a little bit of a brain twist. So here you can see how the physical space, in this case the kitchen, enters into relationship with all the professionals who step in, and it's somehow making them a new person, another person, a human being, although they are still in the same workplace, the same hospital ward. But the kitchen is entering in a person environment transactional process there, and the meaning of the kitchen makes them become human and makes it possible to create this emotional experience of meeting each other as humans. And now, that's the last example. Here comes the GP. So this is a Hungarian GP's office, where you can see the working table and the chair, which is very important for this GP. And then you can see the place of insecurity being the consultation room's door. On the other side of the room, you can see the patient waiting room. So there is this door between the waiting room and the consultation room. And there is a third important place here, which is like a bathroom. But in order to go to this bathroom, the GP has to leave the consultation room, go through the patient waiting room, and then go to the bathroom, which can be approached from the corridor. So here we have insecurity in the door. And this is what the GP does about this place. You start to go to the bathroom because you really must go. You take the key with you because the staff bathroom is outside. And then I open the door, I step out, and one of the patients jumps at me. "Doctor, I've been waiting for so long. How further do I have to wait?" And several others also start talking. So, of course, I forgot where I was going in the first place. And then I went back to tell the nurse that this patient was very unhappy already and that we should do something. So I retreat. And then, of course, I didn't even go to the bathroom, and I didn't dare to go out again, because if I did, they would attack me again. So I would rather stay inside. So here you can see how this natural boundary, the door of the consultation room, becomes somehow a boundary in a so-called battlefield where the GP meets a kind of attacks. So this is how she's speaking about these actions. So they are attacking her, and she has to retreat somehow inside, behind this boundary, and just cannot go out for the next few hours if she does not want to be attacked again. So some systemic conclusions, and then I will let the floor to your questions and comments and discussion. So first, what we can see is that experience mapping as a research tool generates rich data on relationship processes in important social-physical contexts, which means that it's not only relationship processes like interpersonal relationship processes, but person environment, transactional processes, like we could see the meaning of the kitchen and how the experience of being human is created in the kitchen. We can also get a kind of systemic understanding. We can see emerging systemic patterns of interpersonal and person environment processes. And in the end, we really hope that we will be able to develop experiment-based and systemic interventions for all stakeholders in all three projects. This is the scientific paper that already exists, and as you can see, 4 other are in progress. And I thank you for your attention.
Great. Okay, Thank you, Viola, for this really impressive talk. It's wonderful. Even though I've heard it several times, I always hear something new in it. So it's really a pleasure to listen to you. So I wonder whether we can start with some questions, whether we can open the floor for the questions. So please just go for it. Just don't forget to unmute when you start talking.
Yeah, Nevena.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As Lucy said, this was a very impressive presentation. And I had a feeling like when I was listening to Monica McGoldrick, when she was presenting the possibilities of genogram. But now we have something which is even, more potent, because I understand this is of how I'm speaking as a therapist, not as a researcher, but how in therapy we can speak with our clients and really obtain a fantastic reflection and a systemic reflection of the space in the widest possible way of how we understand living space. And I can think of very many therapeutic venues and interventions that can be generated in this co-constructivist, dialogue and interview. And I thank you very much, because I think this is, systemic general here and now, something like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Nevena.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and this was about how research interviews work with experience mapping, but basically it's more or less the same in therapy. In therapy, what we have in like an extra is that we have several people together who form a system together, and they can have a look at each other's experience maps, and they can react on each other's experience maps, and that creates a kind of meta system in the therapy room. So that is something unique. Yes.
Thank you. And I think you have created a kitchen among us. Now we're in the kitchen.
Yeah, we can be humans here.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. I wonder if there are any more comments or questions or reactions. I can't see everybody at the same time, so if you have a question or comment, just go on, please.
I have a question, Viola. How do you plan to use this, for example, in hospitals with professionals? What do you have in mind? Because this is very interesting.
Yeah, one possibility in workplace setting like a hospital is to have all the experience maps of all professionals using the same social physical setting, like the same building, the same ward, the same hospital, and then you can get this systemic overview of all interpersonal and personal environmental processes, so from different perspectives. Of course, here we had the internist perspective and the GP's perspectives, but it would be important to get in the internist case the director's perspective. So from the internist perspective, we can see that the tension is linked to the director's office. But here we don't have the director's perspective and how the director is creating their relationship regulational processes and their well-being like in that physical setting. So I did it once with a team of mental health workers using the same building, and that it was super interesting. So this is the next step to have this like an intervention tool for a specific team.
It looks very, very interesting.
Yeah, and in a hospital, you can also add the patient's perspective.
Yeah, sure.
So with patients who spend several weeks or even several months in the same physical setting, like a hospital, it would be important to have their perspective too, and to combine the medical doctors and the nurses' perspective with the patient's perspective.
Sure. Thank you. Congrats. It's very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have another question from Christian. If you could go on.
Yes, thank you very much, Viola. It was very interesting to see. I already have the experience mapping lying in my office, and I was wondering, do you have a specific set of symbols? I think you created them for kind of security. So you have created a kind of language, a symbolic language for states of security, tension, and something.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you are speaking about the EMOT tool. So this is the EMOT tool that appeared in some of the first slides and the last slide. So this is a therapeutic tool that we developed together with Tamás. I hope Tamás will also add his comments here. And my daughter designed the symbols for the emotional experiences, and the tool can be applied in the same way as the drawing. So here I was showing examples of drawings and the interviews based on drawings, but the therapeutic tool is different in terms of the building of the map. Is it in our experiences, it seems to be a more playful, more collaborative and more creative activity for clients when we use it in therapy. So then they do not draw the map of the home, but they build it from the cards that are in the EMOT toolbox, and there are markers for the pieces of furniture and also symbols for emotional experiences in different colors. So they can either build a shared map of the family home, like the 2, 3, 4 family members building the same home, and then using it as a shared map with their own specific color, and the color of the emotional experiences. Or we can use it to represent like subsystems in the family. So the parents can build their own shared map, and the children, the adolescents, can build another one. Or some of them can build an individual map and the others shared map. So we can combine it according to the aim of the therapy. And here, building is like creating a special atmosphere, even in families where expressed emotions are harsh and high.
Okay, it's very interesting, especially the part when you focus on workspaces, and I was wondering if all the space of, or how do you say, the processes of service design, which I follow, sometimes it's also included, but mostly I see the focus from the client's perspective, to see like we have to create workspaces which is optimal from a client perspective, but you emphasize more also the other perspectives. So the workspace is also something for the people who work there. It should stay healthier, not just optimal for clients, customers, and patients.
Yeah, they form an interconnected system. So medical doctors and patients in a those things.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, if I may add something to this topic, mostly from the building part, and from starting from building parts, as Viola mentioned, this act of building is inherent in using the tool, and in a way also in the act of drawing. So these are all bodily experiences as well. So as we experience the experiences of the clients and of the participants, they are involved with all their bodies in this process of interviewing, and also we can see that they somehow feel the situation in their bodies as they had experienced it in their physical context. And yeah, I try to listen to the presentation as an outsider, although I'm quite much involved in the process. And what really impressed me, how much these interviews involve these bodily experiences from the home, from the physical settings, like the professionals struggling for physical safety, physical needs, and so on. So it's really something like building up the whole experience from the body, extending it to the space, involving the relationships. And this was when we are talking about embodied experience. It is something like that that I could extract from these interviews from an outsider perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I wonder if there are any more questions or comments or reactions. Yes, Peter.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Viola, for that. It really was a fascinating piece of work, which I hadn't seen before, because I don't keep up with the literature. One aspect that really I like is it solves the problem that a lot of research has of a visual representation of the material that points to the conclusions. That's so rare in research, and yet we are terribly visual, and it really brings alive, and I could see it as a therapeutic tool. I just had one thought of in therapy, or even in the research actually, might it be worth doing a version of the internalized other interview where the therapist becomes the director and speculates about the layout and the meanings from the director's point of view? It would be interesting, could be fun, but it possibly could have therapeutic value as well.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for your words. Yes, and also for this idea. So I don't know what Tomasz thinks about this, but my first thought is that actually in a therapy session, it happens quite often that they draw the map, or they build the map using the AMA tool, and then we start discussing, let's say, the first emotional experience, let's say at the place of security, and they share a few important stories about the place of security, and then it's the end of the session. So then we are left with the map and all the experiences on the map, like the colored symbols or the numbers, and the clients leave. And we can, hypothesize in a systemic ways about all the other experiences that are there, but we don't know the story behind. So it's a kind of internalizing and or maybe mentalizing the patterns that are there on the map that help us in the next session where we bring back the map, and we also build the maps before they arrive, so that it's there when they enter the room, and we have some systemic hypothesis about how to follow on. Lucy, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I wonder, Tomasz, if you would like to comment as well.
No, it's okay. So
Okay.
I will do it for myself if I have something to add.
Yeah. So Ilona, is there a question, comment?
It's no question and either no comment. I just can share my experience with emotional map.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
nice. I was so brave to buy without knowing nothing. just I trusted to Viola, and I was surprised to find out. I used with one client in my practice that every day we are hearing stories. But with this method, we can not only hear, but also see. It's another dimension. I'm using in my practice Familienbrett. It's in German. Matthias is away already, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he left.
Yeah, I like to see myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this method, mm-hmm. Yeah. Help.
Thank you, Ilona.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we really invite everyone who might be using it, either the drawing version or the emote version, the tool, to take notes whenever you are using it, because we really want to create a collection of case vignettes using experience mapping in therapy or consultation. So I think this would be an important next step to create this book of case vignettes that would demonstrate how therapists and consultants in different countries, in different settings are using it.
Yeah. Charlotte, a comment, question?
Oh no, it was a wonderfully creative way of. I thought it was a wonderful presentation. I just had a question about your experience of using it with very young children, because it made me think of a research project that I had somebody presented many years ago, where they did a consultation to a nursery. So these were kids about 3 or 4 or something, and they did it through getting the kids to take photographs of different parts of the nursery. And then they did the same. Well, I guess you could call it emotional mapping. They didn't call it that, but then they did interviews about which spaces the children preferred, and then they put it all together, and then talked to architects who were due to design a new nursery for them. So it was a kind of consultation method with really young children, and I wondered what your experience was of using this with very young children.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. Well, we use emotional mapping or experience mapping in family therapy with young children I think the youngest one was 6. So so that 6 year or 5, yeah. 5-year-old child can draw the map already, but with the EMA tool you can maybe use it with even younger children, and taking photos is a nice extension of this method. I did it once in one of my earliest research projects when I used experience mapping, and I interviewed people in their own home. So I entered the home and they were drawing the map of the home in their homes. And then I asked them to take pictures of those emotionally important places that were marked on the map from their specific viewpoints, like this is my place of security, or this is my place of insecurity. So this is kind of participatory snapping method. And I think that can be also a good resource for therapy. So you can do the same thing in therapy whenever you have the map. So people are normally taking photos of their own maps. With the EMA toolbox, they cannot take it home, but they can get photos of their own maps, and then at home they can in this study they can get pictures, and they can take pictures and then bring it back to the therapy room. This is what happened in one family, where there were an anorexic girl and the parents, and somehow in this family experience mapping was so important in the therapy process that they did it spontaneously. So they just went home, and in the next session they came back with all the pictures of important places in their home, and we could discuss, of course, the pictures and elaborate on experiences based on the pictures.
Right, thank you.
I wonder if, Peter, you have another question or comment, or if your hand is up just by mistake.
Just I forgot to take it down.
Okay, all right.
I was hurriedly trying to think of another question, but I haven't.
Right, okay. So I wonder if there is any other comment or question or experience to share.
Yeah, or maybe ideas.
There's a nice comment from Christian about Hundertwasser versus 5 skins. I just clicked on the link. It's worth to explore how people have concentric circles of skins.
Yes,
I can share the.
Yeah. It was remembering me to the drawing from Hundertwasser. And I thought like it's your idea coming into a therapeutic space. Who said like it's the epidermis, it's the clothes, it's the house, it's the identity, it's earth. That's what you're doing right now. What he drew very famously a couple of maybe already 100 years ago.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, our social physical environments like our home or our workplace or some favorite natural places are very much linked to our identity. So this is what we call place identity. This is, you know, in environmental psychology, this is a well elaborated phenomenon that we all have our stories of our place identities that evolved throughout our lives. So that's, yeah.
And this is what we meant by personal niche, that we have a niche that we are embedded in, and a specific place in the universe where we are at the center. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, I would I have a question, which might be a little bit unusual, but I wonder, because it seems like that your research results are so instructive for the for all sorts of sites, like not just for the clients, but also for the organizations in terms of hospital and stuff. But I wonder how it changed you, the experience of developing this type of tool. What was your transformation, or how did your therapy approach changed since developing this tool? What is your personal experience with that?
Mhm. Yeah, that's an inspirational question. So thank you, Lucy. And you know, as I'm reflecting on it, the first thing that comes to my mind is that all this experience mapping and the visualization that we are doing is about, you know, bringing experiences into our consciousness. So it's something, you know, that we are mainly not aware of. So these processes are happening all the time right now, for example. So you are all sitting in specific social physical context here now. And this Zoom meeting is also a specific social physical context here. So that's, yeah. And what changes in me, I think, is this awareness of how the context is in me and what I'm doing in the context, and how these transactional processes are going on. And when a family enters or couple enters the therapy room, I somehow in the first interview, I start to, you know, kind of visualize the home they may have and the physical setting they may be in their everyday life. So this is that, you know, family relationships and couple relationships do not happen in the vacuum, but I'm somehow seeing this context around them.
Mm-hmm. That's very impressive. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, this is part of a bigger journey, so to say. It was my first association to your question, because as you know, as some of you may know, that my first degree is in architecture. Actually, it was a long time from now that I did that before my psychology degree, but it's somehow. This is my inner journey to see not buildings and physical structures, but people and relationships and experiences. And as this method and the approach that actually Viola developed first arrived in my life with her, actually. This was like starting again, or starting over my relationship to architecture as living space. So not as structures and materials, but as something that is lived and that is lived in like by relationships and desires and stories and so on. So from inside out, not from outside in, so to say. So that's gave me a lot in this respect, I think.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's wonderful. So I wonder, are there any more questions or comments? Or clapping hands? Or experiences to share, or inspirations to comment on.
maybe I can add that this method, the research method, can involve so much the PhD students and students at all. So as Viola showed one picture about the team she's working with and we are working with. So this is really something very special and real inspiration for them, as we can see how they are working on specific domains like hospital setting, one student, and with the parents of these children, the other student. They are so happy. I can see that they are really enjoy research, and that's something I think is really unique. You can experience. So it's not of course, if we come to writing up the research findings, could be a bit more challenging, I think, but doing research is really fun.
And I can see that there is another question from David.
Hi, I'm David from Brighton in England. I haven't used this method, but it's very exciting. I was just wondering if anyone who has experience of using it therapeutically, about when, I guess I was particularly struck by the example of the man finding the tension around the computer space and the woman finding the tension in the kitchen. If anyone has experiences of negotiating those differences, what happens next when those differences arise?
Yeah, thank you, and I think that's the most important question in therapy. So what comes next? So what happens after they can see each other's maps and they can share stories behind those experiences? And what we see is that somehow during the discussion of those place-bound experiences, routines are changing spontaneously. So it's not the therapist, deciding whether they should use the kitchen in this way and the computer desk in another way, but somehow it emerges from their discussion and the discussion they are doing in a kind of meta position, because they are all discussing something that's in front of them, that's on the desk. So they are somehow getting this overview, and this helps them to create somehow new routines, new behavioral patterns. So normally they would go home after discussion, and suddenly the way they use the kitchen would change. So, and in the next session, we just ask them about all the observation they made, how things are changing at home. And they come up with really important and somehow creative changes we would never thought of. So that's somehow how it works.
Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-on question?
Yeah, I have another thought from experience that these different space-related experiences may somehow remind people on their childhood experiences, so involve these transgenerational aspect of functioning and relating to each other. So this is another way how we can work with these experiences in the follow-up to just to understand the origin or the reminiscences of these situations. How was we don't know if, in this case of this interview, because it's an interview, but we could let her explore her experiences with her mother standing in the kitchen, for example, and how it was, and they, I mean, clients do that spontaneously as situations remind them to their childhood experiences. And this way we can dive into the transgenerational stories and we can try to somehow collect them together and let them understand each other through this lens.
Thank you. As we have just a few more minutes, I wonder, Viola, if you could maybe point out where can people who haven't purchased yet if you can help them out to direct.
Okay, so yeah, this will be a small advertisement, but you know, I just share once more the same last slide where you will have the QR and that the QR that leads you to a Linktree collection of important links around emotional mapping. So so here's the Linktree emotional map of the home and the QR that leads you to the same place. And there you will find our website link. And you will also find a PDF, a 4-pager that describes how we use it in therapy. And you will find a link to the web shop as well, where you can actually purchase it. Yes.
Thank you. Wonderful. I wonder if there is any Facebook page or anything like that.
Yeah, there is also a Facebook page, and you will find it through the website too. So yeah, there is also Facebook. If you become our follower on Facebook, then you will be notified about all events and what we organize online workshops as well. So for those who have the tool, we organize online. It's a 4-hour half-day online workshop, and it proved to be very useful and you know, it's just a very practical thing you can learn in those few hours. And then we plan some kind of intervision, supervision online groups with people who are using it.
And is there any platform where people can share their stories with using or their experiences while using the tool?
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, because we were thinking about this book. So, and of course, the language is a problem, but we have now it in 3 languages. So there is a French-English version. But there is no German or Dutch version, unfortunately. But we can do it. So if there is demand, then we can also create further versions. But now we have a French-English, English-French version where you have everything in the 2 languages. And of course we are maybe we have to create a kind of a safe platform just to share stories, like a first step towards this collection of case vignettes for a book.
So that's a very inspirational sentence to end on. And thank you very much. It was very impressive and pleasure to be here with you. And thank you all for participating. And we will see you with the next EFTA conversation and also the next EFTA Research Cafe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice evening.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Viola. It was good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.